What is it to submit? Follow God's example, therefore, as dearly loved children, and walk in the way of love, just as Christ loved us and gave himself up for us as a fragrant offering and sacrifice to God. Be careful then in how you live, not as unwise, but as wise, making the most of every opportunity because the days are evil. Submit to one another out of reverence for Christ. Ephesians 5, 1-21 excerpts. What is submission? What does it look like? Merriam-Webster says to submit is to yield oneself to authority or will of another, to defer to or consent to abide by the opinion or authority of another. So to submit means to choose to allow someone else to have authority or to allow them to have their will in the matter over yours. When we talk about submitting, what do we have in mind? I think a lot of times when we think about submitting, we think it is something forced upon us by someone of more authority than us, or losing our will to someone else's. The examples of this are the oppressive authoritarian government that's forcing the citizens to comply with oppressive laws, or the husband belittling his wife into doing the things his way because of a misguided idea of authority. Is this the Bible's idea of submitting? I believe if we honestly look at the Bible, we will find a completely different idea about what submitting is supposed to look like. For these examples, we can start in Genesis and see how the Creator submitted to the will of the Creator. When Adam chose to rebel against God, God didn't, instead of destroying man, left man to exercise his free will, which meant the decline and decay of creation. We then take a look at the New Testament and see an even more intimate example of submitting. What we see is a God who is so in relationship with each other that they are described as one God in three persons, of one mind and thought. Jesus, when faced with the most intense moment of his life, does not seek his own will, but defers to the will of God, did what was necessary to redeem man, died on the cross. There are more examples of this kind of submitting. When we look at these examples of submitting, is it really too much for us to submit to one another for the good of a relationship? When Paul talks about us submitting to one another, or as another version says, each other, what is he asking? When Paul said we were to submit to another out of reverence for Christ, he had first given us the reference point of Christ's sacrifice for us. It was out of this desire for relationship that God made man. It was out of this same desire that God redeemed man. It was out of this desire to have an intimate relationship with man that Christ submitted to the sacrifice. It is out of this desire that we are asked to submit to each other to foster a deeper, more intimate relationship. It is better to submit and save a relationship than stand on rights and lose relationships. Submitting is about relationship. The one most willing to submit is the one that values the relationship most. Submitting goes both ways in a relationship. The leader must submit to what is best for the employees. The government must submit to the will of the people. The husband should submit to the concerns of his wife's welfare for the best and most harmonious relationships. What do I need to do to foster the relationships in my life? How does my submitting or not submitting affect my relationship with God? If you like this devotion, share it with others. Thank you.